live on the other end too. All right. See where we at. Yep, it says we live. We'll be right back.
Shout out the whole team RPG movement.
Mechanics.
I think they done fucked up, nigga.
We're about to take this trip to Cali real quick.
Come on. This what they afraid of. Got it off the muscle, stayed down till I came up. Fat laces fit fresh shirts, gang affiliated, not at all, so don't claim one. Got game from them niggas and I seen some. Switch lanes, hitting figures, yeah, they went dumb. Got trained by the realest, but behind bars, dropping niggas southpaw. Hey, little did they know, we been plotting on the low. We been stacking up our dough. If you know, you know for sure. Then you ain't gotta be told. I've been keeping my pistol sharp and the proof is in the flow. Get in order. Calling all soldiers forward.
Say what?
Calling in locked and loaded. Gon' get it in cause we on one. Gon' get it in cause they owe us. Say, this is what it sound like. When the spirit get up in you when it feel right. When you twisting up your fingers for the right fight. Bang on the system, gang bang for this real life order. What the game need is a message in the music if they gon' speak. Next one up to do it, yeah, that's on me. Drop down, you in the presence of a queen, get in order. Yeah, we forward motion, pull up smoking, straight West Coastin'. This that pure uncut shit, don't just rush it, micro dose it. Yeah, we forward motion, pull up smoking, straight West Coastin'. This that pure uncut shit, don't just rush it, micro dose it. Say, this what they afraid of, boss with this shit. You don't know where I came from. You don't know what I done did. What I didn't do, nigga, what I didn't choose. When I had to duck, when I had to stick and move. When it weighed a ton, when I had to tell the truth. When it's said and done, doing what you gotta do. When the game is showing proof, niggas act a fool, get in order. Hey, little did they know, we been plotting on the low. We been stacking up our dough. If you know for sure. Then you ain't gotta be told. I've been keeping my pistol sharp and the proof is in the flow. Get in order. Calling all soldiers forward. Falling in, locked and low.
Once again, it's your team RPG Green Gumbo Mix Joint.
Gon' get it in.
Let's go.
Say, this is what it sound like. When the spirit get up in you when it feel right. When you twisting up your fingers for the right fight. Bang on the system, gang bang for this real life order. What the game need is a message in the music if they gon' speak. Next one up to do it, yeah, that's on me. Drop down, you in the presence of a queen, get in order. Yeah, we forward motion, pull up smoking, straight West Coastin'. This that pure uncut shit, don't just rush it, micro dose it. Yeah, we forward motion, pull up smoking, straight West Coastin'. This that pure uncut shit, don't just rush it. Say, this is what it feel like when the spirit get up in you when it feel right. When you twisting up your fingers for the right fight. Bang on the system, bang bang for this real life order. What the game need is a message in the music if they gon' speak. Next one up to do. You in the presence of a queen, get in order. There we go. Can you still hear me all right? Uh-oh, I just lost you though. As soon as something happened, I just lost you. I can't hear nothing you saying. Mouth is moving, but no sound is grooving. Hold tight, stand by.
Yeah,
there we go. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I muted my mic, but
Right on.
that was one of my favorite songs off of
Right on.
off of the Team RBG album. I like I said, I written an article on it. Y'all can go check it out and see what my favorite songs are on there. I had all of them my favorite songs, but the songs I would jam over and over. Those are one of my jams, along with a few other people. You know, our name dropped on there. So, but let's get into it, man. Welcome back to the Warrior Scholar show. This is my 38th guest. I think she's my 38th guest on the Warrior Scholar show. could you please briefly introduce yourself for the people who may not know who you are?
Yeah, much love to the big homie that just chimed in. Do the Knowledge Radio. You know,
Mm,
we a whole tribe out here, so I'm very grateful to represent for the community that we all come from. My name is Ife Jie. I also go by Dr. J, and I consider myself to be a hip hop artist, a hip hop scholar, and a hip hop activist
yes,
based out
yes,
of South Central Los Angeles.
yes, yes, yes. We are excited to have you on the platform, and we gonna get all in we gonna get all in your business. We're gonna talk about so many different things
Let's
today.
go.
All right. So before we get into the interview, I always have to define what a warrior is and what a scholar is. So I'm gonna give you some simple definitions. Warrior, a warrior from the old North French warrior, warrior, soldier, combative, one who wages war, wage war from warrior. Warrior is a person engaged in expecting and experiencing in warfare broadly, and a person engaged in some struggle or conflict. A scholar is a person who attends a school or study under a teacher or pupil, a person who has done advanced studies in special fields, a learned person, a holder of scholarship. Now, what is a warrior scholar from my perspective when I merge both of those words together? From my perspective, a warrior scholar is someone who is well studied and waging war against mistruths, pseudoisms, and willing to stand on the battlefield against institutions and platform that promotes that. A warrior scholar is someone who is on a mission for the truth, for accurate and sound information. A warrior scholar is one who has discipline, good character, morals, and willing to fight back against those who use information dangerously. So that is what a warrior scholar is. This sister who I have on the panel is definitely a warrior scholar in her own right, and she's literally a scholar. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that as well. But this is the Warrior Scholar Show. So every person that comes on the show, I always ask this. This is a question I'm always gonna ask, and that is, can you name a few of your warrior scholars? What is some of Ife Jie warrior scholars?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a pleasure to be here. Sounds like I might be in the right place.
Yeah.
And no doubt, you know, I am because we are. And I
Yeah.
would not be doing any of this work without the tutelage of some very important people. You know, one of the most impactful person in my life is Dr. Mutulu Shakur, who is, for me, the pinnacle of warrior scholarship, especially
Mm,
when it comes to using all the mediums of of uh, of tactics. You said about warfare, right? So
mhm,
it wasn't just one lane for Dr. Mutulu Shakur. He used many lanes and many tools and many weapons, if you will. And so Dr. Mutulu Shakur is definitely one of my pioneering warrior scholars. Another person that's just a favorite of mine in terms of scholarship is Dr. John Henry Clark. I am
mm,
absolutely a student, a fan, a proud person that is familiar with his work. I also stand on the shoulders of people like Dr. Marimba Ani. You know,
mhm,
I absolutely adore her work, some of the language that she's given us in terms of how to name our traumas and the term ma'afa being used as opposed to just some of the more, you know, historical type terminology. I stand on the shoulders of people like Aminata Umoja, who is my family, but also a warrior scholar who has built her own institution to make
mhm,
sure that these children don't get this other education, but they get this education that's Afrocentric, Afro uh, um, rooted in African history, rooted in the traditions of people like Asa Hilliard, Dr. John Henry Clark, and so forth. You know, so I stand on her shoulders as well. And of course, her husband, Dr. Akinyele Umoja. I wouldn't be here, honestly, seeing what it looked like to be authentically myself, to be authentically from the West Coast, to be authentically in love with the things that inspire me, like hip hop culture, without seeing examples from people like him. And the list really could go on. I could continue to name people. I don't want to miss anybody. So I'm gonna stop there. That way I won't get in no trouble. But those are some of the top folks that really stand up in my mind. Yeah.
Okay, okay. What Sean is asking me, that's one of my brothers right there.
Okay.
He told me to ask you about your favorite, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book, well, if you're talking about just like literary work,
Mhm.
one of my favorite books of all time, believe it or not, is a book by a woman named Gloria Naylor. It's called Mama Day. And it's
Mhm.
just a beautifully well-written book. I read it sometimes just to feel that fuzzy feeling on the inside. You know, it's a book, it's a fictional tale, but it's a very well-written, just beautiful story. You know, if I talk about more of like literary work in terms of history or knowledge, I don't really have a favorite book, but I'm reading a book right now by a colleague of mine named Derek Darby. And that book is entitled How to Get to a Blacktopia. It's about a post-racial reality. Are we in a post-racial reality? How do we come up with post-racial reality strategies in terms of our liberation? You know, that's really kind of curious to me. And I'm going to reread They Came Before Columbus, because a lot of foolery going around right now. You know what I mean? But in terms of like scholarship, I'm a forever student. I don't really have a seminal book that just changed my mind. I do appreciate Trisha Rose's book, Black Noise. That was one of the first probably literary pieces that I not literary but academic pieces that I read on hip hop. Jeff Chang also has a book. It talks about the history of hip hop music as well. But I'm inspired by a lot of folks at different periods of my life. You know what I mean? So I don't have just one particular scholarly or academic textbook, but just my favorite book to read, just for reading's sake, is definitely Gloria Naylor, Mama Day. Great question. Yeah, these people's warrior scholars. They read. That's what I'm talking about.
No
Right
doubt.
on.
Sean, I'll ask it later. Hold let me get to the
I
question.
want to see what Sean's saying. I can't see what
Yeah,
he's saying. All I see is what's popping
that,
up on the
that,
screen.
that's my brother. He go ask 1,000 questions.
Elaborate on that. Came before Columbus. What foolery the ABOs. I'm not sure what that part means, but you know, a lot of people have this
Elbows.
narrative.
Yeah, go ahead. You probably finna touch on
Yeah.
talking about the elbows movement.
Okay, I'm not really familiar with that, but I do know that the narrative of who was here is always a very sticky subject, because people want to make claim to being here first in North America, in the Western Hemisphere. And Ivan Van Sertima, at one point, people were debunking his work because nobody wants to give the African credit for circumnavigating the world before the European. And I think that's absolutely 100% essential for many of us, because it changes so much of the historical timeline, and it changes the narrative that everybody didn't just come over here on the slave ships, that some of us were already here and had been here for thousands of years. And so I was just recently kind of privileged to be involved with one of his students that made her transition about 2 years ago. Her name is Toni Humbert, I believe is her last name. But she was a professor at a university here in California. And she picked up his work, and she literally went down to parts of Mesoamerica, Central America, and went into these tombs and these pyramids and found evidence of Afrocentric or African looking or melanated looking, whether it was iconography or it was architecture. But yeah, so I got really inspired, especially through this examination of the Olmec heads. And so I had a student just recently tell me that they learned in a US history class that the Vikings were the first people to come to North America. And I said, is this what they really are teaching our people, that the Vikings are the first ones to come over here? Like, oh man, I'm gonna have to really sharpen up. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I'm going to reread that book. I got hit to that book when I was an undergraduate student at Georgia State University. And yeah, I got to reread that so I can stay really, really, really sharp when people start to have those debates and those conversations about who was here first, and how did the culture of the indigenous peoples, how was it influenced by really a globally traveling people. You know what I mean? And it changes the narrative of a lot of what we think about ourselves and our history. And so yeah, that's the foolery, is that they'll give the European, and in their own way, they think that giving it to the Vikings is like avant-garde. You know what I mean? It's not the Spanish or the English. It was the Vikings. You know, so I'm like, yo, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. You know, plus the information that we know exists is under attack, and so many of us need to almost on some Book of Eli. You need to be able to know this information, whether the material is written down on paper or not. You know, many of us need to memorize these stories of people like and research of people like Ivan Van Sertima and folks in his lineage that he's produced.
Okay.
Salute, salute, salute.
So and I apologize. One of my business partners, she's a doctor, so I always give her that utmost respect, you know, and I never call her Ashley Wade. I always Dr. Ashley Wade, right? So
Right on.
I want to make sure that, you know, I do the same thing for you.
I
So
appreciate that.
so
They call me Dr. J. You can keep it
yeah,
simple. That's all right.
yeah, that's
Dr.
cool.
J. Yeah.
That's cool. So your artistic name, Ife Jie, well, and it's I know it's your artistic name, but it's also, you know, because I want to get into it, it's more than just your artistic name. Ife Jie holds a significant meaning. Could you elaborate on the origin and its connection to West African tradition?
Yeah, so I pronounce it Ife like eBay, but with an F. Ife
Mhm.
Jie is my name. My father was a Black history teacher, and he took some classes in his, you know, journey, and he actually taught at Washington Preparatory High School right here in Sausalito, Los Angeles. He was the homeroom teacher of people like Yo-Yo, Dub C, some other really legendary people that came through the West Coast. My father was their teacher. He was a Black history teacher. And so anyway, my father named me Ife. I was born Ife Mohammed, and my
Okay.
name quite literally translates to love is worthy to be praised. And part of the tradition in my family, because we are New Africans, was to be self-determining. And my father gave us the privilege, me and my siblings, to name ourselves for our middle name. And so I chose the name Jai. I was going to a school out here in Los Angeles, California, called Marcus Garvey Elementary School. And I got hip to this book, Ashanti to Zulu, and it's an A to Z book. And it really is cool because we grew up with those types of materials in elementary school to teach us about our culture and just the magnanimous spectrum of different types of people within the African continent, you know. And so I gravitated to the Jai people, and I pronounce it Jai. I've heard it pronounced other different ways, but they are a group from Uganda, and they are nomadic. And I remember just as a little girl thinking, I want to travel the world. I want to be all over the place like they are. And as I
Mhm.
got older, I started realizing that their affinity about being nomadic people was based off their connection to their animals. Particularly, they would do things like name themselves after their animals, and it just was such a cornerstone of their culture, you know. And so I just adopted the name. You know, Jai became a name that now is my legal name, and that's my first and last name, Ife Jai. And so, because we're so authentic in what we do, it became everything. You know, I never used a nickname, if you will, for anything that I've done. And so my name is Ife Jai, and it's always been Ife Jai, and that really who is my identity. And I fly my flag high. And then I got crowned Dr. J after I graduated with my degree, and some of my students gave me that name, and that's the so that is I guess my first official nickname. Yeah, and I use that often.
So are you a practitioner of West African traditions, presumably a Sheshe Legba? Or?
Yeah, so on that tip, I'm definitely Yani Fa. I was initiated in 2021. I had been Omwawo for a couple of years prior to that, but I'm
Mhm.
Iya Shango, so I do keep shrines for Shango, Ifa. I'm initiated to those particular deities, and yeah, I am Isheshe. You know, I got initiated in Oshogbo,
Mhm.
and I'm 100% about that spiritual life. Yeah, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? In the words of my brother Tahir RBG, if you ain't working in pots to kill them cops, then you ain't talking about ish. You feel me? So yeah, no, I don't necessarily lead with that because in my experience, that is a you know, we're in safe space, you know, but I'm definitely an initiated priestess of Ifa and Shanko.
Okay, no doubt. I, you know, because I, you
Yeah, but I
know,
don't use my Ifa name in
mhm.
public, that's usually a name that if we are doing Ebo or we're doing spiritual work together, then you would call me by my Ifa name. But I do
Oh,
have a whole nother Ifa name.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course, of course. And I just wanted to know. I mean, and just to
Yeah,
put
no,
it,
ain't nothing I ain't ashamed of. I fly that flag
yeah,
high as hell.
yeah,
I keep my today is
yeah,
Echo
yeah.
Shade 5 to all my real ones. But I keep
Mhm.
my Shango with me. I am once I realized what the journey was, and that's the whole privilege of Ifa, is that Ifa makes the journey clear. And
Mhm.
it gives you um signs along the journey so that you know you're going in the right direction. And when I started to realize what my life was manifesting to become, I realized that my Ori was extremely strong, that my Ashe Lanu was very, very powerful. And then that I had not only a revolutionary obligation to do things, because of the community I came from, but then it became a spiritual obligation. So a lot of the things that I do is more than just it's a lot of thought that goes into a lot of things that I do. It's very intentional. Very few things now in my life are by happenstance. They're very intentional, and much of that is because I'm rooted in the traditions of our ancestors.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. I what because I seen some pictures and some pictures, but I
Oh yeah,
see the
the
name.
picture that you chose is me actually at a festival,
Yes.
at Fort Greene. I think we're at Fort Greene Park in New York. And then you
Mm-hmm.
see I wear the accoutrements of all the
Hmm.
things that show that I'm initiated priestess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I've seen that. I'm not a practitioner, but I'm very, very familiar with
Right on.
Shea Lekba. I'm in Mississippi, so there's no temples here at all. The
Okay.
closest
That you
one
know
to
of.
me would be is none,
That you
none.
know of. It's
Eh,
somebody down there doing that juju. Trust
Yeah,
and believe.
it
They
probably
may not
is.
have a temple though.
Yeah, and that was in the closest ones. Like was to I think it was Atlanta was the closest one to me, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
make got an obligation like that because I'm 7 hours away, and
Right. Right.
so but I still ingrained. I'm my father and my mother came through the Great Bantu migration from
Oh,
Uganda
beautiful.
and Kenya.
Beautiful.
So they
Beautiful.
went into my mother went into Ghana and my father's folks went into Nigeria with the Igbo people and my
Mm-hmm.
mother with the Ashanti and the
Okay.
Akan people, right? So I double and dabble with Ikumi in
Uh-huh.
with my folks in Ghana and then
Mm-hmm.
Ordinani with the Igbo people in Nigeria,
Right
and
on.
right. So, just and
And
most of
that
them,
con is really powerful too. I got some homies in Atlanta that just got hip
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Really
Kumi.
embrace it. And
Mhm,
yeah, and let me say this: there's a brother by the name of Metahochi Zanu that we give honor and praise to
mhm,
as one of the elders in this just African spiritual culture here in North America. But he had a very unique philosophy that says we're all of those things because of the Ma'afa. So
mhm,
whether you draw on one particular lineage or not is your choice, but we're a little bit of everything. So that's
mhm,
dope that you can pull from your
mhm.
Nigerian roots, your Ghanaian roots, and that's what makes us uh that gives us our strength, man. So that's a powerful thing. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So, my next question is: you had a unique opportunity to learn under Mutulu Shakur. How has his mentorship shaped your personal and professional ethos?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'm glad that I looked at these before so I can have my brain computer ready because questions like that sometimes are it's difficult for me to pinpoint, you know, that because Matubu was so influential for me. I think the biggest thing though that I want to communicate is that Matubu recognized that hip hop was a tool, that it was absolutely a element of our resistance, and I'm working on a project right now to really flesh that out, to show people how rap music and and the resistance movement worked hand in hand. There was a time where I remember Mutulu said, it used to be a time where the rappers took the cues from the streets and the streets decided what the narrative was, and then the rappers would go and perpetuate that narrative and make it popular and make it cool and make it palatable to the people. And, you know, we've gotten away from that, where the rappers are just kind of doing whatever they want to do based off of whatever inspiration they're coming from. But there's no grounding in the street culture. There's no direction, I guess is the word that I want to use, from the street culture. And not necessarily just the streets, but particularly the street element of what Marx would call like the lumpen, like the people that are fighting to get to the next level, or fighting to remove systems of oppression, fighting to survive. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a moment where Mutulu taught me that. But when he first was like exposing me to those things, that wasn't transparent. That didn't come really clear to me until after he got out of prison. And then we started to have conversation, more intentional conversation about what he specifically was trying to do with rap music. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of his you know, his tutelage, I've learned so much from him though. You know, I learned that when it comes to fighting for liberation, doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter your gender or sexual identity. People don't really like to talk about things like that in our RPG community, and I get it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But if you were to sit down with Mutulu and you were to ask him, you know, how he felt about a particular group of people based off of their gender, he wouldn't give two. Can I cuss?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. He wouldn't give two shits about that, because he's like, are they down for the people? Do they have love for the people? Are they down to, you know, ride? Are they not allies but co-conspirators? Are they willing to put in some work? And if they are, then let's rock. He used to say some of my favorite people was my lesbian white women, because they didn't play about Mutulu, baby. They made sure the books was booking and the things was done, and you know. And so I learned a long time ago that you know, Mutulu was a global nationalist, he was a Pan-Africanist. And he believed that the systems of oppression were so powerful and so far-reaching that we couldn't limit ourselves to just one type of warrior. That warriorship came in many, many forms. One of his, you know, some of his co-conspirators were the Underground. They were a bunch of like white hippies. One of his closest colleagues when he was doing the Lincoln Detox Center was Yuri Kuchiyama. And Tatsu, you know, I can't think of Tatsu's last name right now, but you know, they're Japanese, you know what I'm saying? And Tatsu loved Mutulu. You hear me? When he got out, I saw the moment where Tatsu came and gave him, you know, jewelry and clothes and prayer beads and things, and just doubted on him. You know what I'm saying? Doted on him. And so there's a moment where Mutulu taught me, like, there's a fine line between, you know, definitely having love for your people, definitely making sure house is square and your people is eaten. But then there becomes levels of global strategy. And some of us get very narrow-minded when it comes to fighting for liberation. But Mutulu taught me that wasn't productive. You know what I mean? And I learned that was just a part of his superpower. He could talk to anybody, and he could find community with anybody and everybody, from the street dude to the person who was a super scholar, you know, to the rapper, to the, you know, politician. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, the types of company that this man kept was just, I never seen nobody like that in my life. You know what I mean? So Mutulu taught me a lot. And we used to have a thing about talking about leading with love. And that was it. If you got love for the people, then let's rock.
That's one of my words I use all the time is you know, leading with love. I mean, a lot of us that goes over our head, you know, because a lot of things come with love, you know. So I always try to lead with love all the time. And I see I get on so many people around me, how they treat other people. It just irritates me. And I always say, you know, we need to lead with love, man. But a lot of us, you know, just don't lead with love. And then, you know, you just said Mutulu, you know, you seen him working with everybody. And I'm a Black nationalist and I'm a Pan-Africanist, but I understand, and, you know, and a lot of my brothers, you know, they don't want to, you know, I understand the same thing. They don't want to work with others outside. My thing is, I'm gonna take care of home first. Long as I take care of my people first, that's what I'm gonna make sure, like you said, the house. I'm gonna get the house straight, and then the house is first, and then everybody else is second if they want to come along and help. I understand their strength in numbers, and we even have, and even when we quote some of our own scholars, our own Black heroes, they was in line. You talk about John Henry Clark a while ago.
Right.
John Henry
Right.
Clark was in line with some Europeans. Dr. Ben was in line with some Europeans. So it's a lot of our scholars and our heroes of the past was in line with what we call radical white men or radical
Yeah.
white, Koreans or whatever the case, whatever the case may be. But I don't have a problem with that long as you take care of house, because I believe in race first. So long as I I'm gonna take care of my house first, and then I'm gonna deal with everybody else second. I'm not, if their attentions is pure, if their attentions is right, what I'm saying, and they've, they trying to further along our, our cause and help us, socially, politically, and economically. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and everybody needs to do what just makes them feel comfortable. This is just what I saw. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I saw many things. I also know of revolutionary nationalists that will not blink an eye or say a word to somebody that's outside of their box.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I seen the gambit.
Yeah.
You feel me? I seen the gambit,
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna call out no names because that's not the point of that. The question was about Mutulu. That's what Mutulu taught me.
Mhm.
If you ask me about someone else, there might be a whole nother narrative there. So I learned from that whole spectrum of Black nationalists. Everybody has their own lane of what feels comfortable for them. You know what I mean? I was privileged to see Mutulu express his lane and saw the power of what that did for him. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And yeah, take it or leave it. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's one of the things that he definitely taught me.
Yeah. Malcolm X became that way in later on in
Later in
life.
life. That's right.
He
That's right. That's
became
right.
the
That's
same
right.
way, right? So I mean,
Right
a lot
on.
of us will quote these, our heroes, but they really don't know a lot about our heroes. You only know one part of their life. You don't know about what happened later on in life. How their perspective changed and how their
Okay.
experiences changed and shaped after traveling outside of the United States into other places, right? And
Right.
seeing other
Right.
different things, right? So
Right.
yeah. But yeah, like I said, I the other day, well, a few days, I always try to dig as much as possible into finding stuff, about the person that I'm going to interview without having to bother them or go to somebody else. I'm an independent researcher, so
I
I'm
like
real
it.
good.
Yeah.
I'm real good with digging, what I'm saying, and finding things, right? And so, I was looking at one of your videos, and you was talking about a new Africa in a sense. So you often spoke about the state of Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, Louisiana, Georgia, and Florida as new Africa. Could you explain the significance of these states in your ideology framework and why you believe they hold a particular claim for Africans or Africans in America?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I feel very blessed to have been raised by revolutionaries, and the particular organization that we were affiliated with is the New African Peoples Organization. And the ideological framework is the New African ideological framework. Is based in this idea that, as some would argue, we are a nation within a nation. We're people that are, um, not necessarily, rooted in American nothing. That we are a nation. We are a nation, and we call that nation a term that was coined by Queen Mother Moore, uh, New African. And so, for us, many of our ancestors, when they got together and they had this kind of really kind of a conference, they sat down and they started to piggyback on some of the legacies of people. His name is what is his name? I want to say his last name is Campbell, but he was one of the first persons that said something about 40 acres in a mule. This is when General Sherman was asking our ancestors, well, what do y'all want? You know, as slavery is starting to be, I want to say his name is Eunice Campbell. But these are some of the pioneering thoughts that rooted our New African brothers and sisters later to continue that idea of give me land. You know, I want to say his name is Eunice Campbell, but he was the first person that put that out there. Like, if you ask me what I want land, right? And so this concept of land became a goal that did not just be washed away through time. It was actually passed down through the generations. And so later, the New African Peoples Organization, they started to name that land. Well, what is the land that we want, that we feel like should be ours? Again, identifying ourselves as a nation within this nation. And so many of us, you know, Marcus Garvey wanted us to be able to go back home. Some other people had some other solutions, but many of our ancestors were like, look, at this point, we're here. And what is the land territorially and militarily, in like a military strategy, if you will, also, you know, that's why I kind of put Florida in there. But, you know, what is ours? What should be ours? And so we identified those territories. Many of us come from these lands. We come from Mississippi. We come from New Orleans. We come from Louisiana. We come from Alabama. We come from Atlanta. We come from the South Carolina, you know, and then I throw Florida in there because if we were just in a military mind sense, then that would mean that we could just have control over that whole territory and we could lock that territory down. And so whether we acknowledge ourselves as New Africans or not, you know, that's your business. But many of us can say, oh, my grandmama went from there. Like, I got people that's from Jackson. My grandfather, my mama's side from Jackson, Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? Like, many of us have roots there, and that's a part of the logic. Was like, well, this is where we from for real. This is where the bones of our ancestors are literally buried. This is where the blood is in the soil. You know what I'm saying? This is where we have strived and lived and survived, you know. And then you talk about the indigenous nations that were already here in these places. You talk about the Kush, Kingdom Kush down there in Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? The types of Mississippi River Valley. You know, the Native American groups that were us and we were them. Like, come on, this has always been our territory. And at a certain point, we outnumbered our colonizers. We outnumbered our enslavers. You know, at a certain period, we were the majority in these places. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that New African identity was how I was raised. Again, as I mentioned, my father was a history teacher. My father joined the movement, if you will, as a cultural nationalist. You know, his thing was also music. But then his sister, my aunt, became more of a political activist and a nationalist in that sense. And so that's how I was raised. I was raised as a New African. You know, my holidays wasn't Christmas. My holidays was Kwanzaa. I was very familiar with people like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X. These are household names. These are things that we were just cultivated in embracing and loving and appreciating. You know what I'm saying? And recognizing that at the end of the day, we all come from this source. You know, that's where the ports was. Let's just keep it funky. That's where they dropped us off. Many of us dropped us off, you know, when they came to North America, when we finally reached these shores. That's where we came from, you know? And so that New African ideology just made perfect sense to me as I got into my own studies. I said, okay, yeah, I'm a New African, for sure.
Yeah. When I talk to people, particularly from from the north, New York, all those different, even in the West, in California, in the Bay, a lot of people I talk to, they always, when they ask, okay, well, where are you from, man? And I tell them I'm from Mississippi. Man, I got kinfolk, man, in Jackson. I got folks in Natchez. I got people in Vicksburg, man. I got people up in the Delta. I said, man, you know, so all the time I hear about people, and you look through the historical record, a lot of us, you know, migrated from the South. Our folks migrated from the South and went into those other areas, you know, from out of the South, you know, especially during the time, you know, before the Civil War popped off, and we are doing the Emancipation Proclamation, when the South wasn't trying to let their slaves go, you know. So, you know, a lot of us migrated into those other areas and so forth. So yeah, you know, you they call us country and backwood, but this where you come from.
It's us. I would say whether we like it, admit it or not, we all got somebody that come from them places, and you may
Yeah.
not know it. You know what I'm saying? But
Uh-huh.
but if you go back far enough, you can figure it out. And I
Yeah.
guarantee most of us, but some of us were, like I said, that's why I wanted to reread that book. Some of us didn't come here on the plantation, on the slave, ship. Some of us were already here in these same areas. You know what I'm saying? Tennessee, Kentucky, that whole Arkansas, that was all our territory. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the music for a minute. We'll jump back into that
Okay.
in a minute. Let's get into the music, man. Your collaboration with Team RBG has been notable, especially to me. Like I said, you
Okay, right on.
so can you discuss how you became involved with them and what was the process behind picking a song for the RBG mixtape?
Yeah, so let me start with picking a song. I chose to put the song that my most recent song because hadn't had a home just yet. And in fact, we're going to shoot a music video for that song Order
Mhm.
this Sunday. No,
Okay,
this Saturday, February 22nd, at the
congratulations.
Bone Hills Crenshaw Mall. So anybody that's in the city of LA, if you want to pull up and pop out and rock with us one time, you know what I'm saying? We're going to be at the Bone Hills Crenshaw Mall this Saturday at 12 noon to shoot the video. And I love that song. I knew that when Mutulu had made his transition, I wanted to put something out there that was kind of like an extension of where we were leaving off. And there was a lot that we were trying to do that was interrupted. But only the Lord knows what the master plan really was. In my spirit, I felt like we got interrupted. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I also felt like he kind of was handing some of the charge. It was very clear to me what we were doing. And so I felt an obligation to put something out that was an extension of what me and Matulu were working on and the things that I knew he was working on individually. You know what I'm saying? And so I reached out to a group of producers out here on the West Coast. They actually from the Bay, and they go
Mhm.
by the Mechanics. And if you come out here to the West Coast, that's a legendary, very familiar sound. When Snoop relaunched Death Row, one of the songs that they put out, him and Corrupt, was produced by the Mechanics. They definitely got a wonderful reputation out here on the West Coast. So I just wanted to rock with the Mechanics, man. And of course, because of the content of what we do, I thought it would be just a really good look to make a contribution to Team RBG when they reached out and was like, "Yo, we putting something together." So I put that out there. Obviously, I have a lot of music.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
last project was produced by Rollo Styles. He is, you know how everybody's on Mustard's tip right now with Kendrick? Well, Rollo Styles was the equivalent of like Mustard and Kendrick. It was Rollo and Nip. And
Right.
Rollo, I was very grateful to be able to work with him. He produced my last album, and so I was very grateful. But again, the Team RBG thing kind of came organically. I always been down because my affiliation with the Atlanta community, with the revolutionary community. Baba Amin, back in the day, we was doing the RBG, reunion days down in Fort Worth. You know what I mean? I definitely remember driving my car down there to go participate in those programs and just support everybody. My sister Elnora up in Arkansas, we was a tribe, man. We were real strong, and those camaraderie, those connections, that camaraderie has not never changed. You know what I'm saying? And so many of us was just already doing the activist work, and then the hip hop just started to come naturally because we also did music. So big, what is it? Big Said, I think, down in Fort Worth. That whole camp, everybody, we just was all on the same wave, bro. And I think what really sparked us and gave us an identity was when Dead Prez dropped the Revolutionary but Gangsta Grills,
Mhm.
and that just changed the culture. I mean, whether they intended to do that or not, it created kind of like a subgenre of revolutionary rap music, and we had them as kind of like the lighthouse, if you will. I keep using that term, so it must just be coming up. This is where we at with it. There's some people that just lead the way, and so when they came out with that red, black, green bandana, we
Mhm.
was like, ah, this it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we finna rock these bandanas because we coming from, especially me coming from the West Coast, that bandana meant something. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And so when you start making that bandana red, black, green, coming up, as a new African, coming up with this African consciousness, coming up with this knowledge of self, it just made perfect sense. Like, this is this is where it's at. Like, this is where our wave is. You know what I'm saying? So that Team RBG is just an extension of many of us who've been doing a lot of this stuff for the longest. So of course, it's my honor to continue the affiliation because I want to see us win. You know what I'm saying? And so if I could put a song on there that'll make somebody feel something and to bring them into my world, then it was truly my honor to be able to put that on there. So yeah, that's how we got there.
I love that song. I love your cadence on there, and I just
Right
your voice in general.
Right on. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
so you know, I seen a picture. So you know, like the young folks say, um, you ain't capping. You ain't capping. So
Nah.
you mentioned Rollo and you mentioned Nip, right? So I
Right on.
seen a picture, a younger picture of you and Nip in the background.
Right on.
Did you get a chance to? Did y'all ever get a chance to do something, or you know, just have you know, some conversations about music or life?
Yeah, that was the homie. I grew up, you know, the first time I ever met Nip was at my cousin's studio on 82nd and Crenshaw. We was all in high school. You
Mhm.
know, I've definitely been in the studio with Nip. We never put nothing out together though. What's
Mm.
ironic is that my sister, shouts out Titi Buki, but my sister is singing on his first album. She's singing the song is missing me the name of the
Hustle,
song, but she's
hustle. No, 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 them. I don't know. No, it's two females on that
no,
song.
this is no. This is I'm talking about throwback Nip. This is Slauson
Oh,
Boy
okay.
Volume 1.
Oh, okay.
Slauson
Yeah.
Boy Volume 1 was probably one of the first mixtapes that Nip first put out. My
Mm.
sister is actually singing on a song. It's a rap for ya. It's a rap for ya. Shut him down. Shut him down. That's my baby sister.
Okay.
So what's funny is that she ended up having a song with Nip.
Yeah.
She performs now, you know, on call. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I was the rapper. You know what I'm saying? But I've been in the studio with Nip several times. Nip lived with me at one point when he was coming back and forth from LA to Atlanta. You know, definitely broke bread with him. He was my loved one. One of the last things that he relayed to me was his condolences when my father made his transition. You know what I'm saying? But Nip was definitely a loved one. Definitely a loved one. I consider him my brother. You know, and I tell people all the time that I didn't necessarily know Nipsey Hussle. I knew Ermias. I knew Erm. Erm was
Mhm.
just another homie that was on the come up, trying to do something magical like the rest of us. You know, in fact, his name wasn't even Nipsey at the time that we were rocking. He went by Concept. You know, and Nip was a very, very well read, very smart, very serious person in general, in terms of he knew he had a mission and he was really dedicated to that mission, you know. So yeah, he's definitely a loved one. And that was my brother, man. We would say now that he's a part of my egg bay. That's
Okay.
he's definitely a part of my egg bay. He's my family, my
Right.
heavenly family. Yeah, that
Right.
was my brother, no
Right.
doubt. And his
And
cousin, I mean, my cousin is how I knew him. That's how I was introduced to him way back then off of 82nd and Crenshaw. It was through my cousin.
okay. Yeah. I've been on Nip for I didn't first get introduced to him until he put out until he was Nipsey Hussle. He was the song with the two females and they what is the song called? Hustle. This is for the hustle. I can't sing, but anyway, the first
Okay.
song I seen, you know, they had the blue Crenshaw
Yeah.
not they weren't hoodies, but they were sweatshirts that they
Mhm.
had on.
Oh,
And
Hustle in the House. You talking
yeah,
about the
Hustle
Hustle
in
in
the
the
House.
House?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hustle in the House. And I read this book. It's maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, and it just
Okay.
really inspired me. You know, about hustle.
Beautiful.
It goes in detail, like you know, some of the things like it talks about his name, what his name was before he was Nipsey. So it talks, you know, it talks about his, you know, his family. It talks about, you know, how he got started and so forth. So
Yeah.
that's a book I highly recommend for people. If people want to know who you know, who Nip is, you know, and how he came up and you know, how he became a household name.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I was one of my other another song. Well, you know, first, how long you been you how long have you been in you know, been in the music industry. I know it's been a long time. How long?
For forever. It's all I know.
Yeah.
There was a moment that I started rapping when I was in church. That's the first time I
Mhm.
ever said any bars out loud. And I
Yeah.
was a kid, I
Yeah.
was a real little kid.
Yeah.
And I said that that's when I caught the hip hop Holy Ghost. That's when I realized that my words and like you said, the cadence that it
Mhm.
flowed, and the drums, and it was a spark that was lit in me. I mean, I
Mhm.
know now as Yashango that was a part of my Ashele knew it was a part of my Ori,
Mhm.
learning that words had power,
Mhm.
and being able to like, you know what I'm saying, and use those words to inspire people, to really move people through a certain cadence is a way to make
Mhm.
people feel something by the way you say it. And I had that naturally,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so
Have you got that now?
yeah.
You have that?
Right on.
I went and listened to, you know, I was on, you know, surfing your YouTube channel and listening to some of your old stuff and you know, like you say, everything that I listen to, you got that way of making a person feel, you know what I'm saying,
Give
you know what
thanks.
you're saying, you know, so and that return to your source though, that's just hard.
Yeah.
That's just
We
hard.
still trying to get to 1 million views on that music
Yes,
video. We more than halfway there. We're
yeah.
still getting there though. I got about 600 something. I'm almost close to 700, but I'm trying to hit that 1 million mark on that YouTube view. Yeah. But that again, Rollo, that
Yeah.
beat, Rollo. I can't even say nothing else. You know what I'm saying? I was privileged to just be able to put my words on his genius. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real. So yeah.
Oh,
But I've been doing music for a long time. It became who I am. It is who I am. It's the tool of our generation. We
mhm,
are the product of that hip hop era in a very dope way.
mhm.
And I just ain't never gonna stop it. It's just a part of who I am now.
And I just I like how you and the others are using your artistry, you know what I'm saying, to try to edify and liberate the minds and make
Right
people
on.
aware of what's going on. So I love that. And in the article I wrote about, you know, the review on the whole album, I put each album, the red mixtape, the mixtapes, rather the red mixtape, the black and the green mixtape, those I wrote in there that those are institutions. Those are buildings.
Okay.
Those are three different buildings of higher education, you know, and I break down why you know, I don't look at them as a mixtape. I look at them as buildings, as institution, because
I
y'all
love
are
that.
really educating, you know what I'm saying, you know, through y'all artistry, man. And I just think that's just dope. I think I've been playing that CD for the past, I mean, yeah, the mixtape for the past maybe three or four
Good.
weeks.
I love
You know
it.
what I'm saying? And
I love it.
I got
Keep
some
us
more
in rotation.
yeah, you know, and so I'm trying to promote it as much as possible. So, you know, that's
Right
why I
on.
wanted to, you know, I did it with Oba Phoebe and a bunch of the other guys. And then, like I
Yeah.
said, I wanted to double back and get the ones that I didn't interview. I wanted to write a blog about it. I'm gonna do a review too soon, coming soon. I'm gonna do a live review on all of the music, you know what I'm
I
saying, and
love
break
that.
down.
Yeah.
So, you know, you know, I
Yeah, we
love
appreciate you, man.
yeah,
We appreciate you. I see, as I learn, we all learn. I love that.
yes,
And that's
yes,
that each one teach one. So if
yeah,
you own and you feeling it,
yes,
share
sir.
it. You know what
Yes,
I'm saying? Yeah.
yes, ma'am. And that's where my phrase, I coined that phrase back in 2018. As I learned, we all learn.
Yeah, I love
It,
that.
it's a spinoff from each one teach one. You know, if you go back and
Yeah.
you look after our people was emancipated and went on, I structured my companies, my business, and everything I do after the American Negro Academy. And these was a bunch of, you know, scholars. They were scholars, doctors, poets, ministers, and so forth. And
Mm.
their thing
Yeah.
was to each one teach one. You know what I'm saying?
Right
Their
on.
duty was to go and learn and then come back in their communities and teach their people in their community. Some of them, you know, got doctoral degrees. W.D.D. Boys was also a part
Right.
of
Right.
Black History Month. Carter G. Woodson, he was also a part of the American Negro Academy, Paul Dunbar, so many great ones that went through that and understand that each one teach one method, you know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah,
live
right
by
on.
that too, you know. So I'm always trying to learn new things and share what I've learned. If I discover new things, I always want to try to share the things that I discover. I'm trying to share this album with people because it's not
Good.
only for
Yeah.
the adults, it's for the just for the children too, man, because those
Yeah, yeah, for
are
sure.
institutions, man. I mean, you can
No
sit down, I
doubt.
can sit down and actually take each one of those songs and create a lesson plan behind each one of those things and teach it in the household to my children. You know
I
what I'm
love
saying?
that.
Some powerful information,
I love that.
that y'all assimilating from y'all music. Um, but let's I want to talk because I threw two new questions in there because I didn't
Okay.
know you was an author. So, and I'm an author.
Okay.
I told you I got a
Okay.
publishing company called Same Tree
Yeah.
Different Brands Publishing. That's what
Okay.
I do
Dope.
every day, all day. And I'm a published author. I've published so many different books and I'm a
That's
part of
awesome.
a couple of research team. I have my own research team called Kofi Piesie Research Team where we'll publish 5 books. I'm a part of a West African research group called the Masi Warrior Clan, where we
Mm,
specialize in West African culture and tradition. That's why I know so much about West African
right
culture
on.
and
Right on.
tradition.
Yeah.
And so I love writers in general. I know you're a writer, by heart, by crafting, your music, but you're also you're a scholar, you know what I'm saying? You're a writer. So when I said, wow, I cannot not have a question, talking about, you being an author. So um you are an author of the movement music revisit featuring in a book for the culture, hip hop and the fight for social justice. How does
Yeah.
this reflect your academic how does this reflect your academic and musical journey, and what impact do you hope um it has on your readers?
Yeah. So you did do some you did do some research, and
Yes.
I appreciate this. I really do. Very rarely do I get to talk about all these things in like
Yes.
one pot.
I
You know
told
what
you
I'm
we're gonna get
saying?
all in your business now. We're gonna get all in your business.
And I love it. I'm loving it. I'm here for it. I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I really want people to see what it means to really move this culture. There's a woman by the name of Dr. Joyce King, and she gave me this term of like culture keepers. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? So when we talk about hip hop, there's some of us that love this so much
mhm,
that we want to keep the essence of what it is. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? No matter what direction it takes, we want the core or the foundation to still be prevalent, and somebody needs to still know the core foundation. And so that's essentially what I hope that people get when they read that article in that book. The book itself was a wonderful compilation of different people that contributed different chapters. And
mhm,
so I started off when I was at Georgia State University as an undergraduate. I did what was called Africanisms in hip hop music, and
mhm,
it really was just seeing how our African identity was hidden through the culture of hip hop. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Whether that was wearing golds, wearing gang of chains, the way that we just communicated, the way we use ciphers, the way we did call and response. My new African brain was like, that's African as hell.
mhm,
Why aren't we thinking of this in that way when we come to hip hop? Why is it disassociated? You know what I'm saying? Why isn't this a part of, like, if you down with hip hop and you down with this culture, then subconsciously you down with African aesthetics. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Whether you acknowledge it or not is your issue, but we got to make sure that we know that, right? So then I started to get into political activism. By that time, I had met Mutulu. I
mhm,
was doing volunteering at Atlanta Federal Penitentiary as a student at Georgia State University. And when I got my first introductions to Mutulu, that's when I started to have this desire to now think about, well, if people was using music so much during the civil rights movement, and you always think about the gospel songs, you know, being transformed and re-articulated to be like activist song. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. That became like things that people were saying when they was getting locked up. You know what I'm saying? But these is gospel music embodied the revolutionary spirit of the civil rights movement, right? So I'm like, why aren't we thinking of rap music that way? And that's exactly what inspired that moment. And then I'm from West Coast, you know what I'm saying? So if you ever get the chance to read this article, it talks about the 1992 riots. And when the riots went down, a bunch of rap artists got together and put this song out called You Could Get the Fist. Just like you could get the finger, you can get the fist. And that was a revolutionary statement that nobody wanted to put on the airwaves because we was burning the city down. And again, I came from a revolutionary culture, but I also was raised around gangsters. I'm from South Central Los Angeles. I went to Crenshaw High School. You feel me? So there's a part of me that knew gangsters just as much as I knew revolutionaries. I remember my big homie Bone watching the block from 5 Deuce Broadway and made sure that the old ladies literally crossed the street safe. The gangsters that I came from wasn't the gangsters of now. They were the gangsters of old because they had a certain kind of code, which Pac and Mutulu later called the Thug Code and actually named it and gave it identity and tried to perpetuate that in our streets and in our music. But there was a moment where I started realizing y'all scared of what this music gonna do, because if the gangsters get turned out onto some revolutionary narratives or some revolutionary inspiration, now you're starting to have songs like You Can Get the Fist, and you see it with NWA, you see it with Public Enemy, you see it all over the place. But it's like somebody need to call it. Like this is us continuously using music to try to open people's minds up to this revolutionary spirit. You feel me? And so that became a real passion of mine, and that has been the lingering desire with anything that I've produced. As an author, as a hip hop scholar, I want people to remember rap music was born out of resistance. Now, what it matured into, we could talk about that. And it's a reason why it matured into those things. And I would even argue that right around the 90s is when you see that shift, but that shift ain't by accident. You get the 92 riots, and literally gangsters is pulling people out their cars and beating their ass because the police didn't go to jail when they should have when Rodney King got beat. And then all of a sudden, rap music starts changing. Y'all, the gang got scared. People that owned and controlled our music, they got really like, oh shit, what will happen if we let certain songs on the airwaves? And when you see the example of the You Could Get the Fist song never reaching the airwaves, that would have turned the whole city up. Now Kendrick doing a little bit, because we see how it's starting to like make people feel that, oh, music's supposed to mean something. You know what I'm saying? Like Kendrick has reminded people that it's supposed to mean something. You know what I'm saying? However you want to take it as your business, but he's definitely inspiring people to look a little deeper or to look within the lyrics and to see what is he really saying. That kind of spirit is what hopefully is portrayed through that article. And people can see it specifically with the 1992 riots. And then, we go into these different artists that still embody that essence and that connection of rap music and the resistance. So yeah, that's how that got down. And I was very grateful to Dr. Lakita Bonet Bailey for giving me the opportunity. She's one of my mentors, but she definitely gave me the opportunity to put my work into that book. And so I'm very grateful for that. And it's taken me to some really cool places.
So where can we find it at for those that?
It's on Amazon. So if you literally put in For the Culture, Hip Hop and Social Justice, I think it's what's called. There's a moment where if you just Google it, it'll pop up. And then you'll see, or you could just put Ife Movement Music, Ife Jie, and the chapter will trigger the book, and you can literally get the book on Amazon and any kind of like major platform. But people are starting to use that book in their classrooms. There's been people at USC, University of Southern California, people at Rutgers University that are starting. Anybody that's starting to teach about hip hop and activism tends to use this book now. So anybody that's interested in it, I definitely encourage you to go cop it on Amazon, or any other platform.
I'm getting it today. Because I got to order a book tonight and order another bookshelf. So I'm when I order my bookshelf, I'm gonna
right on. I appreciate it. And if you get in and I see you, I definitely put my love on my little page. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a real good look that a lot of people is, again, trying to make sure that we keep the essence of this culture, man. We don't want to get completely turned out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely gonna cop it. Also, I went on. You on LinkedIn? So I went on LinkedIn, being nosy, just looking around on LinkedIn. You know, I'm telling you now, I'm
This man
digging.
is a journalist, boy. I love it. Listen, you better do that.
So you have something, and I wanted to, and I didn't get a chance. I ended up my goal was today was to try to get it done. I had to do some work for a client today, and I got finished with that, and I was gonna read it after I got done with one of my clients, but I ended up having to I had to run to town, and then I had to go get my family some food. So by the time I got back and took a shower, shoot, it was almost time for
It's time,
the
yeah.
show,
The
the show to
days be like
start.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you.
So you have you have something else. I guess you threw it up there for, and I love that, for peer review. And a lot of times, when
Oh yeah.
when I'm
Uh-huh.
put when I'm putting out books, I send the book to some of my colleagues and other people in the literary world. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
to look at it before I put it out. Get that peer review, and get some other eyes on it. So you put out an article, "The Six Elements of Hip Hop," long
Yeah.
lean, long lean, the spirit of the hustle. Can I read the abstract? Can I read the abstract?
Yeah, yeah. Go right ahead.
Okay, so the abstract says the following of the critical analysis of the concept of hustling and its connection to hip hop music and culture. The article examines the historical use of the term hustling. It emerges in the counter strategy in the face of I can't even pronounce that word. Explore the role,
Precarity. Yeah.
yeah, precarity. Oh, I was gonna say it right there.
Yeah, you
And
got it.
and explores the role of the hip hop moguls and entrepreneurs. The findings of this analysis suggest that the hip hop core foundation derives from the conditions of, say that word again, precarity,
Precarity. Yeah.
precarity, and that hustling has been a historical strategy used by African Americans and the communities of color since the 19th century. The results of the analysis also help to strengthen the discourse on the impact of the streets entrepreneurship, and proposes hustling for the consideration as the six core elements of hip hop music and culture, man. And I read that, right before you, well, actually you was already on here. I didn't even know you was on here when you was backstage. And I said, man, I gotta definitely, man, jump into it, man. That abstract right there, definitely. Can you talk about it a little bit? If you don't mind. Can you
Yeah, yeah. So again, I've been privileged to be, too much is given, much is expected in return.
Mhm.
And I've been privileged, as a woman, as a Black woman from South Central Los Angeles, and someone who loves hip hop music. I can say that I knew I met Mutulu Shakur. He ate at my table. He was my loved one. I can say I knew Nipsey Hussle. He ate at my table. He was my loved one. You know what I'm saying? And so when I thought about how can I honor the legacy of what Nip left us, and then considering what I know in terms about just our survival tactics and what I knew of him in terms of his survival tactics,
Mhm.
I really wanted to dig a little bit deeper in this thing called hustling,
Mhm.
and get to like make it more than just selling, drugs or selling wares or selling t-shirts off the back of your trunk. I wanted to really understand that idea of how do I take a little bit of something and out, use alchemy in a way to transform it to become, bountiful, and so that led me down that rabbit's hole, man. And I started to really look at how our people from the very beginning. One of the examples I give is when Booker T. Washington said that his mother used to steal food. And some
Mhm.
people would, criticize her, like, you stealing. Nobody likes a thief, but in the eyes of capitalism, in the eyes of this white colonial project that we live in called America, that was deemed, a sin or illegal, right? But in the other lens of survival and how African people have survived this project, things like hustling became a asset. So yeah, she's stealing, but at the end of the day, we got food on the table. You know what I'm saying? And so that just became something that I was just very fascinated with it, again, because we love the culture. I wanted to write about it. I wanted people to think of hustling in a more broad sense, that this is the way that we have survived. When you think about hip hop was a hustle. It was a moment where people were able to take some music that they created in their basement with 2 turntables and a microphone. And through this, precarity means like a lack. It means like something where you don't have it all, And so through this lack, that was, an experience of many youth in the Bronx, whether it was the result of the white flight or the result of just the attack on the South Bronx at the time, people were able to use what they had, and it created something phenomenal. And now here we have a genre called hip hop, global phenomenon, but that came from this spirit of, we're not just going to take what y'all are giving us. We're going to take the things that you have left us, and we're going to use it to the best of our absolute ability. And it's a part of our survival in this country, and so many of us are hustlers, whether it's like you said, brother, you got how many different hustles, you know what I'm saying? I'm writing books, I'm making music, I got this, I got that, I got that. It's the spirit of what gives us the drive to survive. You know what I'm saying? And so it's bigger than just hustling in the streets. It becomes hustling as a mindset. How can I take this? Another thing that George Washington did was he made bricks, quite literally out of mud, packaged them together, and made some of the more popular bricks at the time when he was building Tuskegee Institute, right? That's a hustle. If you ain't never heard one, I'm finna package dirt and sell it to you for a small fee. That's the ultimate hustle right there, and then look at what we've done with that type of mentality. Once we get into that zone of, I'm not gonna just take this bullshit that y'all giving me. Like I come from way too much to just accept the little bit. So I'm gonna take that little bit, and I'm gonna do something magical that you didn't even know was possible with it. You know what I'm saying? And so that inspired me to write that. And I wanted people to think, when you think about the core elements of hip hop, how could we not think about hustling? We think about rapping, think about DJing, breakdancing, graffiti art. Of course, we got to have knowledge of self. Those are the 5 core. Well, for me, it was like all of this came also from this spirit of survival that I would argue is the 6th element, the 6th man on the bench nobody ever really wants to talk about, is hustling. You feel me? Everybody has hustled their way to where we are now. I know I did. School was my hustle. I didn't sell nothing, I didn't sell no product. I didn't have a body to go into a strip club and to shake my ass for 2 cents. I got paid for my 2 cents. I used my mind, but I used school as a hustle to get to the things that we love and things that we wanted to do, So yeah, that's the inspiration behind that. And I'm actually very grateful because I ended up getting some really good feedback on that because, game recognized game, iron sharpens iron. Those of us who really do like the scholarly stuff, I appreciate anybody's input, hey sis, you should think about this or read that. I don't take any of this personal because it's really about the culture and about our movement. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate any feedback, but I did get some really good feedback, and I'm looking to publish that in a journal probably in the next year, maybe a year and a half. Hopefully in the Journal of Hip Hop Studies. I'm working on publishing that officially. So stay tuned. That's definitely a work in the project.
For sure, no doubt. And speaking of school and getting paid for your 2 cents, as a professor of African American Studies at Los Angeles Trade and Technical College and Clovis Community College, how do you integrate your experiences in music and activism into your teaching and your scholarly work?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I went to get my PhD, I wrote my dissertation on what I call hip hop centricity.
She's
The
a
same
doctor.
way, yeah, I'm certified. I ain't lying. I like that you said that. I'm gonna start saying that. I ain't lying. A lot of people be capping out here, bro. You already know. People start calling themselves all kind of stuff
Right,
and
right.
no receipts,
Yes.
no receipts. No, but I am not lying. I earned mines. And but yeah, so I did my dissertation on hip hop centricity, how to use hip hop in the classroom. And it was more than just putting, Tupac lyrics on as an alternative to the English, textbook, you know what I'm saying, looking at Tupac's poetry, which was a part of it. But I realized that, again, it's an African aesthetic of making knowledge, you know. So how do we create a cipher in the classroom? How do we use call and response in the classroom? How do we use improvisation in the classroom? You know, how do we use this polyrhythmic type of ideology, but apply it to the classroom? I have one student doing this, I have another student doing that. You know, it became kind of like my own little mad scientist moment, where I started figuring out that literally hip hop was everywhere. You know, we could call it hip hop because it's a term that's familiar to us, but I use it in my classroom. So when you come to Dr. J's class, we a vibe. We a vibe because that's how we learn. That's how we feel comfortable. We don't code switch up in there. We sitting in a cipher. We got some, I play Jay Dilla instrumentals real soft, real low, because it makes us feel like, oh, this is safe. This is good. You know what I mean? We improv, you know, if students want to pivot, yo, Dr. J, I want to know about this. All right, let's start. Yeah, let's go down that rabbit's hole. Let's figure that out together. You know what I mean? It's empowering. You know, I'm really inspired by the book Paulo Freire wrote, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. What do my people need to know to survive? You know what I'm saying? And so hip hop absolutely comes a part of that. You know, when I come into the space and my students see me, I got tattoos all over the place. Sometimes I got my grills on. You know, they like, damn, this is the best teacher. You know, like she looked like me. You know what I mean? She act like me. She feels, you know, like this feels right. Yeah. So it's just a part of my whole entire pedagogical approach to education. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to teach, let's learn what we need to learn to get up out of this condition. You know, and I'm privileged to be able to be at a school that I call the school of the hustler, because we teach trades. So people come to our school to learn how to be mechanics, how to be cosmetologists, how to be nurses, how to be, you know, carpenters. You know, we are the school of the skill. You feel me? We're not a traditional 4-year or 2-year, you know, university where you're getting like a liberal arts degree. People are coming out of here with the ability to be entrepreneurs if they so choose. So, you know, if they choose to do that. So, you know, to be able to give folks a sense of knowledge of self while they're on that journey, already trying to do something for themselves. When I tell you, I give so much thanks that the ancestors have placed me at a school like this. It's one of the most humbling experiences that I've ever had. And I literally run into my students everywhere, at the gas station, at the mall. I was just doing the Martin Luther King parade on King Boulevard. I'm coming down King and like 8th Avenue. One of my students hollered my name, Dr. J. This is my people, man. This is where I came from. And I'm grateful to be able to be a little bit of water on their journey to where they got to go. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, hip hop is a part of how we learn, man. It's the most familiar culture to us, whether we recognize it or not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh, I definitely agree with you. I have so me and my business partner, we wrote a book called The Modern Day Griots and the New Generation. And I have another podcast that I do with both of them, Dr. Ashley Wade, which is one of my business partners, and Nathan Pallador, who is also my business partner as well as my co-host. We got a podcast that we do at the end of every month, and we on our 3rd season. It's called the Griots Podcast, and so we're modern day griots, and you are a modern day griotis. You got the griots and the griot,
I like it.
And so when you look at West African culture, right, the griot or the grioti was an important figure in West African culture. So they was more than just storytellers, right? They had many different roles. But one of the roles was also they was historians. So in order for them to preserve their history and their culture, they did what we call art performance. So you would and most of the times when you Google certain images of West African griots and griotis, you will see them in a circle like a cipher, and the griot in the middle teaching. But you got music going and they're demonstrating, they're acting out things to teach, preserve this. So you're doing the same thing. So you're a modern day grioti. You know, and I appreciate you doing that by dropping, you saying you being that water, you know what I'm saying, for the children, you know what I'm saying? So
If you come to my space, we're gonna learn together. I
Right.
don't know everything. We're gonna learn together, and I don't have no shame saying I don't know that. But we're
Mm.
gonna learn because once you learn how to learn, then you own,
For
and nobody
sure.
can take it from you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but it's a
Because
pleasure because you'd be surprised how much of our systems are designed to work against us. I
mhm,
never wanted to be a part of the problem. I always
mhm,
wanted to be a part of the solution.
yes,
Always.
yes. So let me see. Let me see. I got one more question I want to ask.
Okay.
That might be okay. Yeah, this is one. This is my last question.
I
For the
appreciate this, and shouts out to everybody I can see the little pop-ups
yeah,
of the
yeah,
commentary.
yeah, I'm popping up Chicago and Glaze and
Oh, dude. Yeah, I appreciate everybody chiming in with us.
mhm. There go Rocker. What's up, Rocker? Uh
Bang bang. What up? What up? What up, big bro?
yeah. Um so my last and final question is as an African woman in the music industry, what advice would you offer to other African women who aspire to pursue a career in music while maintaining their authenticity and not succumbing to pressures of over sexualizing themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you did your digging, you will see that I don't really talk about
Hmm.
sex.
Hmm.
That's not I don't talk about it, not for real. And not at all, actually, if I dare say so, I think my advice would be first and foremost to know you got to really know yourself. For me, my music was a reflection of who I really am. And I'm not I have 3 children, you know what I'm saying? I have a partner, I'm a strong black man from Nashville, Tennessee right now. You feel me? I love my man, you know what I'm saying? I love my man.
Yeah.
But I've always been that's private. To me, that wasn't something again, I was raised as a new African woman. Your sexuality was not the forerunning identity that you ran with. No matter what your sexuality was. You see what I'm saying? You didn't lead with your sexuality. You
Right.
led with your intellect. You led with your commitment and your love for your people. You led with revolutionary activism. You led with purpose and drive and institution building and program building and you know what I'm saying? Like those were the examples when I think about, like I said, Dr. Marimba Ani, Aminatu Umoja, Iya Fulani Suni Ali, and Jerry Algani. You know what I'm saying? These were some of the women that, I was privileged to see, and their sexuality didn't come up. In fact, when we talked about things like that, it was in a private space. It
Mhm.
was amongst women. You know what I mean? And it was a safe space where we could let our hair down. You got to think about it too. I remember one of our elders, Mama Sanovia Muhammad, she was Muslim. And Mama Sanovia didn't even let her hair out unless she was in a room full of women where she could let her beautiful locks, down. So I grew up with women that were like, there were certain things that were private and sacred about what it meant to be, female. You feel me? So for me, the sexuality piece was just never appropriate. Like it just wasn't appropriate. Now if I'm in, on the phone with Elnora one time up in Arkansas, shout out Arkansas's RBG. You know what I'm saying? We talking that cash shit one time on the phone, you know what I'm saying? Or we having our girl time, then that's different. But again, that's not something that was um everybody shouldn't be privileged to everything. There's a beauty in having some privacy about certain things that you do as a woman. And I think a lot of women have lost that luxury, thinking that there's no uh, sanctuary in that, in that sacred space, So for me, it's like, why do I want to talk about it? Why do I want to talk about it? There's so much more to talk about.
Most definitely.
How is that going to help my people? How is that going to liberate my people for real? I mean,
Right.
if I talk about my sexual episodes, who benefited from that? What's the message there? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? What's the message there? What am I doing that?
Yeah.
What am I doing that for? So also I want to say this, and I don't know if you can hear me because my headphones just went
Yeah,
down, but I'm hoping that
I
you can
can
hear
hear
me
you.
okay.
Yeah, we can
Okay,
still
hold
hear
on.
you.
Let me make sure I can hear you.
Okay.
Give me just 1 second, big bro.
All right.
Um, I'm gonna change it to
speakers. Cable. Okay, can you say something?
Check 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2.
My audio just went down because my headphones just died, so I can't hear you. But as long as you can hear me,
Yeah.
we might have to wrap it up in a second because I can't hear you anymore. But you could drop in the chat and I can catch the last little bit of what you might want to say. But yeah, so the point of what I'm saying to you is that I also want to say that it's not easy to maintain that lane. I definitely have come in contact with people that made that difficult. You know what I'm saying? To be able to say, I'm not going to use my sexuality. I'm not going to lead with my sexuality. That's not even going to be on the table. I definitely had to hold that line and be that bold to say that ain't me. You know what I'm saying? And that has not always been easy. You know, there's going to be some people that were going to dangle that option in your face and it looks really good. You know what I'm saying? But I never wanted to bite the apple. So I give thanks for my Ori again being strong enough to lead me. But it definitely was something that was a conscious decision. And it wasn't an easy decision to make. It wasn't an easy decision to make. You know, if I did work at the strip club, if I did learn how to do some tricks and some tips and some things, maybe I would be on the major platforms right now, you know, but I was like, it ain't worth that for me. I'm not willing to sacrifice that. So, you know, even just kind of redetermining what fame and success looks like for you. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be able to produce something that I could be proud to present to my community and to my people. And sexuality just never came like that. But that doesn't mean that I don't recognize that I'm a woman. And it doesn't mean that when we just did a show, Street Sankofa concert right here in Inglewood, California, you know, I was fly as hell. I had the hair and the makeup and the clothes and like I know I'm a woman now and I know that I can put it on, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to lead with that. That's not what's going to make me or break me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's about using your real power as a woman in a very conscious way. Women are a lot more powerful than just their sexuality. And if you don't know that, you're limited, you know, but if you do know that, now you're onto something. So I just want to encourage women to just know that it's more out there in this game than just using your body. You know, it's definitely an asset to be beautiful, but it doesn't have to be the narrative that you lead with all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah, my headphones are definitely out.
Yeah.
So I can't hear you.
I just
drop
put
it in the chat for me.
I did. You see it?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna end the show and end with your song. All right. Well, again, thank you, my brother, for this opportunity. I appreciate everybody. I see all of the OGs and the homies chiming in on the chat. I hope y'all enjoyed this interview. You know, we go out here, we keeping on, and we mashing until the wheels fall off. You know what I'm saying? Bibi Fahodie to everybody. You know what I mean? Free to land to all the real ones. And Eku Ojo, Eku Oshe Jakuta. Kabiesi Sango is always the narrative that I'm gonna push. And so yeah, I appreciate the energy, y'all. Well, I love you and I appreciate you.
Yes. So all right, we finna end the show. We'll be back next Saturday with Mental Sequence. And then following behind her will be with Queen Jasira. And then after Queen Jasira on Monday, we'll have what's the brother name? Not Vengeance. That's the radio station. Obi, help me out. Obi, female, help me out. Oh, what's the brother name? Get it in order. No, not the song. What's the brother name? Son the Great. We'll have Son the Great on Son the Great. So we got 3 more shows back to back. So we out of here. I'm finna play the song, man, and we out of here one time. Let me play it.
Shout out the whole team RPG movement. We about to take this trip to Cali real quick.
Come on. This what they afraid of. Got it off the muscle, stayed down till I came up. Fat laces, fit fresh shirts, gang affiliated, not at all, so don't claim one. Got game from them niggas and I seen some. Switch lanes, hitting figures, yeah, they went dumb. Got trained by the realest, but behind bars, dropping niggas south paw. Hey, Little did they know, we've been plotting on the low. We've been stacking up our dough. If you know for sure, then you ain't gotta be told. I've been keeping my pistol sharp and the proof is in the flow. Get in order, calling all soldiers forward. Say what? Calling in, locked and loaded. Gon' get it in, cause we on one. Gon' get it in, cause they over. Say, this is what it sound like. When the spirit get up in you, when it feel right. When you twisting up your fingers for the right fight. Bang on the system, gang bang for this real life order. What the game need is a message in the music if they gon' speak. Next one up to do it, yeah, that's on me. Drop down, you in the presence of a queen, get in order. Yeah, we forward motion, pull up smoking, straight West Coastin'. This that pure uncut shit, don't just rush it, microdose it. Yeah, we forward motion, pull up smoking, straight West Coastin'. This that pure uncut shit, don't just rush it, microdose it. Say, this what they afraid of, boss with this shit. You don't know where I came from. You don't know what I done did. What I didn't do, nigga, what I didn't choose. When I had to duck, when I had to stick and move. When it weighed a ton, when I had to tell the truth. When it's said and done, doing what you gotta do. When the game is showing proof, niggas act a fool, get in order. Hey, little did they know, we've been plotting on the low. We've been stacking up our dough. If you know for sure, then you ain't gotta be told. I've been keeping my pistol sharp and the proof is in the flow. Get in order, calling all soldiers forward. Falling in, locked and loaded.
Once again, it's the Team RBG Green Gumbo Mix Joint.
Gon' get it in,
Let's go.
what's order. Say, this is what it sound like. When the spirit get up in you, when it feel right. When you twisting up your fingers for the right fight. Bang on the system, gang bang for this real life order. What the game need is a message in the music if they gon' speak. Next one up to do it, yeah, that's on me. Drop down, you in the presence of a queen, get in order. Yeah, we forward motion, pull up smoking, straight West Coastin'. This that pure uncut shit, don't just rush it, microdose it. Yeah, we forward motion, pull up smoking, straight West Coastin'. This that pure uncut shit, don't just rush it, say, this is what it feel like. When the spirit get up in you, when it feel right. When you twisting up your fingers for the right fight. Bang on the system, bang, bang for this real life order. What the game need is a message in the music if they gon' speak. Next one up to do.
All right, sis, you got a shout out. You say you got a shout out, and give people your handles too. So, because there was some people in here earlier asking where can they find you at. So, give your social media handles out too before we end the show. I can't hear you now. We can't hear you. Let me see if you on. Yeah, we can't hear you now. You might have to swap it back and then say and then swap it. Yep, we can hear you now. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, beautiful. So yeah, I just want to say again, I love that you putting this on rotation. That song gets me so damn hype. I'm so excited to shoot this music video. So if anybody is out here in LA, please pull up on me this Saturday at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. We're finna do the Live and Die in LA Tupac song, the whole video. We're gonna do that over and put the song order to it. So it's gonna be magical, it's gonna be legendary. And if you want to rock with me, please follow me at IFEXJIE. That's IFEXJIE. That's my Instagram handle. But before I leave, I want to give a special shout out to Kofi. I really appreciate you, brother, giving me this opportunity. Really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to really talk about everything and all this big circle that we're doing for the culture, for our community, for our movement, for the streets, for the RBG, for just the whole camp that we all are under. So I appreciate this platform that you have, brother. And if I don't say nothing else, my students is going to kick my butt if I don't say this. We just dropped a song called the BSU Anthem. So I'm very privileged to be a part of our Black Student Union on our campus. And we put an anthem. It's no cursing in it. It's super children friendly. If there's any Black Student Union on any campus, I don't care if you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, we want this BSU anthem to go up and to go off. So I really want to encourage everybody to take a second and to go check out the latest that we just dropped, the BSU anthem, and that's on all major platforms. Y'all can go stream it, and I promise you, you're gonna feel something when you listen to it. So the movement is moving. It's time for us to take this street Sankofa, make sure that we keep this culture rooted in resistance, and yeah, straight ahead, like Mutulu said. I love y'all, and I really do appreciate this opportunity.
No problem. I appreciate you for coming on, and you set it off for the women, because the next two, like I was telling them earlier, you couldn't hear it. I got Mental Sequence, Sister Eleanor.
My girl. Yeah, that's my dog.
She'll be on here Saturday, and then Queen Jasira, if I'm saying her name right, she'll be on here. She'll be on here Sunday, and then I'm gonna end it off in the show with my brother Son the Great on Monday. So I appreciate all of y'all coming on the platform again. I appreciate y'all. I enjoyed the discussion. I enjoyed it. Went by so fast, and when you say time, yeah. So
right on. We're free to land, my brother.
All right, man. All right, well, we out of here, y'all. We'll see y'all next Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for the next Warrior Scholar interview. Peace. We out of here. All right. We off the air again.